Right, all you wonderful people, welcome to BSN Read Infinity. I just love this line, think deeper and lead better. So it's all about knowledge and read, and read. Read cubed, I would say. Um, right, so welcome and best wishes for 2026. I think some of you probably have forgotten that you had a holiday time, and very soon we'll have Christmas again. That's positive thinking. So let's move on and just remind us all what we've done so far. You would remember that I had this little quote, there is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. And it started with the hidden potential, the book. Uh, Everything is possible. So for you two this coming year, let the light gets in those cracks and shine. Right. And in that same book, we at the hidden potential, we said important is build character skills, become an imperfectionist. And so many of us, and I'm guilty too, want to be perfectionist in what I'm doing. Not that I'm always very successful in doing that, but strive for excellence, not for perfection. Enlist judges to gauge your progress. I think it's very important to have soundboards, people telling you, giving you feedback on what you're trying to do. Be your own last judge. And sometimes we are very judgmental on ourselves. Engage in mental time travel. Make space for yourself. Me time. Very, very important. This holiday, I came upon a book which I will discuss some other time this year, is to find your true north. And it's all about spirituality within the business sciences and so forth. It would be very interesting, I think. Then the last book we discussed was Carsinomics Unleashed, the evolution of the informal economy and inspiring entrepreneurs and executives who power it. And from this book, actually, uh, we discussed the problems entrepreneurs have, entrepreneurs, scale up difficulties, payment solutions. When is enough enough is the question. 80% of informal businesses in South Africa have not borrowed money, no trace of record income. Focus on communities, right? And this prompted me to look for something that can help us with the scale up and the problem around scale up. And we said to build a successful business, you must start small and dream big. In the journey of entrepreneurship, tenacity of purpose is supreme. And this is a quote from Dangote. True meaning of the French word entrepreneur defines a combination of builder and architect. There are thousands of quasipreneurs doing just that. Add resilience and resourcefulness, building business with no resource, surviving the shocks of macroeconomics and pandemics. The quasipreneurs are independent business innovators, hustlers, and gig workers. Now, hustler, yeah, hasn't got a negative sort of interpretation, but positive. Um, but it's not easy. And this brought me to our whole question, how do we scale a business? How do we support them? How do we supply them? How do we create a reciprocal relations? with a formal economy. We need one another to build a better future in this country. So, what is the next book? The Art of Scale, Mastering the Craft of Growth by Jason Goldberg. I think, and a large book. It's over 450 pages, so I'm not going to do the whole book today, but only two sections of it. The next time around, we will move on to episode 2, and maybe there's going to be an episode 3, because the book is written in so much detail, and unfortunately, if you leave out the detail, you lose the gist of it all. Mastering the Craft of Growth, I think an important book. So the content, part 1, art of scale, art of strategy, and these are the two topics we are going to discuss today. Next time around, the art of team, and it's all about people. How do you make a choice for the right people when scaling a business? The art of execution. And we know that that is a very important part of strategy. If we do not execute, it's not a strategy. The art of money, an interesting one, and the art of scale-up leadership. And where we at the Business School Netherlands, focus on leadership, and we focus on 4 pillars for leadership. And one of them is change and leadership change management, very important. So we will be focusing on the scale-up leadership. And a conclusion, the art of start. Obvious. If you do strategy, you need to start your strategy. So, for an introduction, I would like you just to see what Nick Klopper has written about the book. The book's principles, particularly the law of complexity, and it's very important law. Any student should be studying it's complexity theory and the implications thereof for business, for the organization, guided us in avoiding unnecessary complications, an essential lesson for the fast-paced startup eager to explore numerous possibilities. Jason's insight help us navigate this principle effectively, allowing us to scale efficiently when the time was right. And time is of the essence. Nothing happens overnight. If you plant a bulb today, you won't have the flower tomorrow. And unfortunately, patience is one of the important, what shall we call it, parts of your management style. So, the art of scale, that is part 1. So, what we were looking at this in this part is the challenge of scale, the whirlwind in no man's land. Jason loves working with metaphors, the physics of failure, why most companies fail to scale. Everybody wants to grow, but how do you grow? The science of scale, harnessing the laws of growth with proven disciplines. And this is where the business science is so important. And it needs to be grounded within specific theories. The path to scale, growth stages, dynamics, and keys, we will be looking at that. And then the art of scale, mastering the art of company building. And we will be working through all of these topics in part 1. So, what is no man's land? Doug Tatum's term. It is when you are too big to be small and too small to be big. No man's land is where you do not have enough hours in a day, and it will become worse. It does not matter how fast you run. So that is all part of growth. We almost all start out with an entrepreneurial management system. And what is that system? You. If you start up a business, everything evolves around a person. You do everything. You manage, you do marketing, you do finance, you do everything. You sell. The reason? Scaling is hard. Most and most founders fail. Too many founders reach no man's land and just keep going with their old patterns. Change and willing to change is of the essence. So he starts up explaining how difficult his own organization was to run while it was an entrepreneurial business, and how they ran like anything and nobody benefited and nobody got anywhere. And this brought him to this whole idea of scale up. He says you've got three options, and options is very sort of important even within the BSN context and the action learning projects we do. He says option one, retreat from your growth trajectory and keep your business head count under 10 to 15 people. That's more or less the size of an entrepreneurial business. Option two is retool for the next stage of your business life, a set of discernible laws and forces of business growth and the proven tactics to harness them. And option three, to resist, deny the necessity of change and continue to grow. And at the end, it could be the death of your company or organization or even your own, because you are going to run around in circles. So the three options are retreat, retool, and resist. Retooling is very hard. So the physics of failure, why most companies fail to scale, says that the science of scaling, first-time founders often fail to scale because they're ignorant of 12 laws of scale. Now, he identified 12 laws for scaling. The first three laws explain the physics of failure, and the second set of 9 laws describe the science of success. So let's look at the laws for failure. Law 1, the law of competition. A lot of startups don't realize who their competition is. Profits attract competition. Competition kills profits. The result is cash flows will suffer, and so will you. That's law 1. Law 2, the law of complexity. And this was a very interesting sort of point at this stage. 10 employees, he says, and you could go and work it out, has got 45 communication pathways. 50 employees have 1,225 paths for communication. As your business becomes more complex, operations become slower and more expensive, decision-making becomes slower and poorer, and management becomes more challenging. And time to market is also a problem. So, complexity. This is the law of complexity. Complexity grows exponentially as you scale. And complexity kills speed, focus, excellence, competitiveness, profits, cash flow, time, passion, and energy. Complexity kills. It's the kryptonite of growth. And this was quite significant part in the book. And I think something we all can learn from. Law 3, the law of size. Growth requires more people, which results in more complexity with less connection, care, commitment, and control. The more people you add, the more meetings you need, and the less work gets done. I think all of us worked in some or other corporate at one stage, and we'll find meetings. I recall having meetings with some banks, and these people, I really don't know when they work because they've got one meeting after the other hourly. If you leave these laws unaddressed, founders feel overwhelmed. You become the bottleneck, communication breaks down, roles and responsibilities become confused, projects get delayed, crisis mount, performance deteriorates, resources constraints, cash flow crisis, leaders often the problem, and good people leave the organization. So quite significant. 3 laws why most companies fail to scale. Because they do not recognize the law of competition, the law of complexity, and the law of size. Simple laws. I think it needs to be somewhere in here for you to understand what is required to grow. The science of scale. Now, this is very interesting. Harnessing the laws of growth with proven disciplines. So Cash Penny said, growth is never by mere chance. It is the result of forces working together. Now, here's identified 12 laws, as I said. The first 3 is the physics of failure. The next 9 is, we can call it the physics for growth or success. Law 4, law of simplicity. Now, in his book, he really dives into the topic of simplicity and what it means. And he's got numerous examples of companies which focus on simplicity. Apple is one of the companies that focus on simplicity. You can read more about it, especially in Steve Jobs' stories. The law of capacity, law 5, law 6, the law of life cycle stages, law 7, the law of strategy, a very important one. And in the next section, we are going to spend time on the law of strategy. The law of team, the importance of people, and next time around we will talk about that. The law of systems. Any organization that grows needs systems to be in place. Not more people, more technology probably would be the law for the digital economy. The law of money, the law of scale-up leadership, and the law of steady progress. Well, baby steps. Take it step by step. Now, the past growth stages, dynamics and keys. Growth is painful. Change is painful. But nothing is as painful as staying stuck somewhere you don't belong. A path to scale is a framework designed to help you navigate the typical stages of growth a company faces throughout its life cycle. It breaks down the characteristics, challenges, and keys to success at each stage, showing you where you're right now and how to lead your business to the next level. So he divides it up into startup stage, 1 to 25 staff, initial growth stage, 25 to 125, and expansion stage, 125 plus. For each stage, you will find milestones explained. And unfortunately, we do not have the time to go into the detail for those startup stage, initial growth stage, and expansion stage. So hopefully I entice you to read more in the book about it. The science of scale is the knowledge of the laws and forces at play when scaling and application of proven disciplines that ensure success. The path to scale refers to navigating the transitions between the stages of your business life cycle. And the art of scale is about adapting these universal laws to your specific business. The creative process of blending the science of scale with your context is where the art comes in. So very important, and even within the digital economy, we have a lot of info, data, and knowledge floating around, but it means nothing if you do not relate it to your context. So let's look at the art of strategy. Once again, strategy within context, and that is where the creative and the innovative moment sort of happens. The art of strategy, it makes use of a metaphor. He says, set your sails to catch the wind. And here he has identified 10 principles of strategy. The first one, he will say where and how you will be number one. The crux of the strategy, build a predictable growth engine. Adapting to context, strategy versus hustle in emerging markets is the last part he's writing about. And anyway, strategy for hustlers is a difficult issue because you will keep on hustling until you grow and have a story to tell. So he is very open-minded that there's no fixed solution to scaling. So the art of strategy, set your sails to catch the wind. Become the number one. I just love this metaphor because there's so much sailing has got in common with management at the end. So the ability to catch the wind depends on how well the boat is rigged. Very important. Structure. And structure follows strategy. The rigging of strategy, aligned operations, make sure the sale of their superior product caught the wind of demand without wind leakage of sloppy execution. Be number one. Hoist a big sail and catch the wind. The first goal of strategic planning is simple. Define where and how you will be number one. That is the goal of the strategy process. The dangers, well, is that you're not going to sail, but you decide to row. And he says, what is the difference? He says, if you want to row, the temptation to rely on startup advantage. is number one. Number two danger, growth by opportunity. There's no plan. Whatever comes to your door, you open it up and you go with it. And then danger number three is impatience. So strategy is figuring out what not to do. That is something Steve Jobs has said, and I just like the reference to Steve Jobs. Find your focus. Saying no is not shutting doors, it is opening the right ones. So let's look at the principle. Principle one, be number one. And let people know you are number one. Principle two, I love this one because it's more about marketing. Be a purple cow in a purple niche, purple cow business. Your purple niche, your purple promise, your purple profits, and your purple operation. I once did some research on branding with teenagers, and one kid jumped up and he says, branding makes you stick out, and this is what you want to be, a purple cow, not the normal black and white one, Johan, that you know so well in the Netherlands. Principle three, position yourself as number one in customers' mind. Sometimes you're not the number one, but let the people know that you are number one. That's an important principle. It's also marketing. Principle four, build a moat, protect yourself. Make sure that your business is something enclosed and protected from other businesses, competition. It's so easy with tech these days to copy a business model or a technology. Keep in mind, I know banks, if one bank starts a new innovative way of doing banking, within 6 weeks, the other banks have it all. So build a moat. Principle five, align your strategy to your DNA. Don't be something you are not. So be true to yourself, be authentic. People today love authenticity. Principle six, be future-proof. Monitor trends, identify opportunities, formulate strategies, create options. Principle seven, build a repeatable model. Principle eight, focus on your core. And that's what Apple did when Steve Jobs came back to Apple. He really focused on what they did best. Okay, culminate in a logical, simple, focused game plan. You need a plan. That's what strategy actually is. And then lead with your strategy story. A company without a story is usually a company without a strategy. And you know what? In marketing these days, people buy stories. That is very important. The crux of strategy, build a predictable growth engine. This is a very interesting chapter. This is scalable growth revenue engine. It got a number of principles, also 10 principles. A goal, predictable, quality revenue, and cash growth system. Principle two, foundations, customer delight culture, and position to be number one. People don't want to be part of losers. They like to win and be number one. Principle three, backbone, trust process. The trust protocol is so important. especially with the digital economy. If you go online, trust and the vanguard to be sure that you are safe is very important principle. Principle 4, messaging, brand story and remarkable promise. Principle 5, tactics, low-cost guerrilla tactics. That's but one of it. Principle 7, consistent brand experience. Principle 8, closing, patient lead conversion system. I just like this sort of wording, is that you must treat your customers as patient and lead them to buy your brand, your product, your service. Principle 9, repeats, upsells, referrals, customer lifetime value, very important aspect of marketing. Principle 10, revenue ops, fit for purpose CMOs. That's your chief marketing officer and your chief sales manager. Marketing and sales function is so important today, and the messaging for the marketing and sales function. The issue is to find the right balance. That is in its chapter, Adapting to Context, Strategy versus Hustle in Emerging Markets. The answer is self-imposed forced strategy discipline. So there's no quick fix. You need some character building, as we started, and strategy discipline would be part of it. Success is a matter of understanding and religious practicing specific, simple habits that always lead to success. And this is the art of scale. Next time around, we are going to talk people, the big B, the important part of scaling and mastering the craft of growth. And then I love to end, as always, we do not know what we will know, by Nassim Taleb. And this brings us to the end of today's session. So thank you for those who joined us today. Probably next time around, we will have more people. It's the beginning of the year. I don't know, Izali, is any questions come along?
Hi, Prof Bernie. No, I didn't get any questions in the chat. So if anybody has a question, you can either put it in the chat or just put your hand up or unmute yourself and you can ask your question.
Yes, Thompson.
Yes, thank you very much, Prof. My question, thanks for the presentation. I think it has given me a lot of insight already. And my question is basically on the aspect of, can we apply these laws and principles to adoption of innovation that can help business growth?
Yeah. Yeah, the idea is that the focus should be on innovation and creativity. But as it goes along in the book, he explains it furthermore. So maybe next time around you will have more clarity on that. But I think all of these principles are principles, sure principles for business growth, and I think people should just take note thereof and the possibilities of growth. Thank you for your question.
Hello.
Yes, Fiston.
Yes, Fiston is Twegimana from Rwanda. you'd like to ask, when you talk about creativity and innovation, most of the times for the youth, the issue is the financial difficulties, whereby even when they try to look for how they can get the loan from the bank, the issue of the collateral securities, most of the times the challenge. So when you were thinking about innovation and creativity in the business, but there is a challenge of financial difficulties. Of course, most of the innovations and creativities require financial means. What about if there is that challenge? What can be done in order to overcome that challenge? Thank you.
Yeah, Fisson, it's very interesting. Our previous book, Casinomics, actually discussed how there should be a relationship between entrepreneurs and big business, and how big business can support entrepreneurs. The truth is, very little people get finance because of the fact that they don't have any records of their business, and they prefer not to have records because otherwise the taxman would target them. So we will be talking the art of money in our third month. I think we're going to discuss that. So it's not an easy or an problem to solve. I think it needs to be on the agenda of governments. How are you going to support small businesses in such a way that you're not a hurdle for them? Just the regulatory issues. I've been helping small businesses now for years. If you just see the regulatory issues just to start up a business and how difficult it is if you don't have technology access, especially in emerging markets, it's a very difficult thing. So it is a very hot topic that's been talked about. How can banks even support small businesses? And there is some success stories in that regard. Thank you, Fiston.
Thank you, Tom.
More questions? Well, everybody, thank you for joining. Till next time, when we will talk about this book again, Scale, and talk about the importance of the art of team and the art of execution. So this is really a book I have divided into 3 sessions. Thank you for joining.